Hello, and welcome to Cheers. That's one woman's opinion. I'm your host, Carolyn Lewis. Today we'll be looking at Cheers Season 1, Episode 14, Let Me Count the Ways. This episode first aired on January 13th, 1983. It is directed by James Burrows. It was written by Glenn Charles, Les Charles, James Burrows, and Heidi Perlman. Heidi Perlman is Rhea Perlman's younger sister. The guest cast: Mark King as Marshall Limpton, Jack Knight as Jack, Alan Koss as Alan, Steve Hannafin as Steve, and John Ratzenberger as Cliff. The Cheers was filmed in front of a live studio audience, which we heard for the first time in the previous episode, is not included in this episode. Summary. In the cold open, Diane comes in and tells everyone about her weekend at an Indian film festival. Coach mentions the film Fort Apache, makes his arm stand up straight. It makes the hair on his arm stand up straight. She tries to explain that she doesn't mean American Indians, but Carl interrupts to show that she can make the arm on her hair stand up any time she wants. She then tells them that her best friend from school can burp the 23rd Psalm. And if you're not familiar with the 23rd Psalm, it's the one that starts, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Sam says that he once saw a man who would make his eyebrows vibrate. As they are talking, Diane screams, and they all look at their arms with the hair standing straight up. Where Everybody Knows Your Name plays. Marshall comes in and orders a beer. Coach introduces Marshall to Diane. Marshall teaches cybernetics at MIT. Sam says that Marshall uses the computer to write poetry, play games, and even make predictions. He then asks Marshall if he has any hot tips for them. Marshall tells him that the Celtics will lose today. Coach tells him to hold his tongue, but Marshall shows them. As he is leaving, Carla flirts with Marshall. Remember this, as this is a bit of a foreshadowing for the next episode. This whole rotation thing. Sam suggests he and Coach bet against the Celtics. Coach is aghast. They have never bet against a Boston team. Norm comes in and tells the others he had to call Vera for a date because they are trying to rekindle their romance. He says that he went to a payphone and called her. And for you younger folks out there, payphones are these really big boxes that if you stick money in them, it started as a dime and then it became a quarter. An operator will let you make a phone call, even without a cell phone, which did not exist when payphones were around. You can be out of your house and still make calls. So he calls from a payphone and she turned him down. The phone rings. Sam answers, and it's Diane's mom. He tells Diane that it's for her, and Diane takes the phone, and then she becomes distraught. She gets off the phone and tells them Elizabeth is dead. They all feel very bad for her, and then Diane explains Elizabeth Barrett Browning was our family cat. The gang are upset now with Diane because she did not say sooner that it was a cat. They return to watching the game and yelling. She turns off the TV and tells them that she's tried to fit in since she started working at Cheers. For instance, she no longer has to close her eyes during a hockey fight, and in one case, she even took sides. However, she is upset that no one is caring about her during her moment of crisis. She walks to the tables on the side of the bar where the door is. Norm goes over and tries to make her feel better. Cliff tells him that the commercial is over, and Norm tells her the fun times, the moment of searching, a whole bunch of other stuff as he rushes back to finish watching the basketball game. Jack comes in and asks if the game started without him. Sam tells Coach, and they are losing without him too. Coach tries to act nonchalant, but he sounds like a robot. Sam tells him to go wait on somebody. Coach replies, "That is a good idea. I will wait on somebody." Carla tells Diane to get to work. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped the whole section here. Diane brings a man multiple beers. The man explains he just ordered one beer. Diane says that she thought he was with people, and he says that was yesterday. Today he's all alone. Diane goes on about how things come and go, and in the end, nothing really matters. Now depressed, the man asks her to leave all the drinks because he suddenly feels like drinking them all. Carla tells Diane to get back to work. Diane asks to talk to Carla and asks her if she's ever had a pet. Carla says that with 4 children, they have lost goldfish, parakeets, and turtles. Diane tells her that a cat is different. Carla responds, yeah, you can't flush a cat. I don't know what kind of toilets they have in Boston, but if I tried to flush a parakeet or a turtle, my toilet would be all messed up. So I can see the goldfish. But yeah, those other ones can't be flushed any more than a cat can. Diane shakes her head, then tells Carla that she admires how tough she is. The Celtics are winning, and the Barflies are cheering. Sam tells Coach they still have time. Then the Celtics, lose the game. Sam and Coach go outside to cheer because they just won the bet. Cliff says, boy, they're really taking it hard. Coach tells Diane that he never had a pet, but his grandfather had a dog that Coach loved very much. He says the dog fell down and died. He also said his grandfather was hit by a bus and killed. He then thanks Diane for listening to him. Then he tells her to let him know if he can ever be there for her. She starts to speak and he says, excuse me, and walks away. Yeah, allergies are really bad today. I'm very high pollen here. And my nose keeps itching. So Diane hands a man a Jack Daniels. He tells her, Miss, I ordered this on the rocks, which, for those of you who are not drinkers, because I'm not a drinker either, I recently learned on the rocks means with ice. Diane breaks down crying. The man tells her, it's okay, I like it this way. This scene I can relate to very well with the breaking down because I was working at, I believe it could have been either McDonald's or Wendy's. I can't remember exactly which store. But anyway, my dad was having some major health issues at the time before he passed away. And I rang the person up, gave them the change, but I did not give them the right amount of change. And they said, ma'am, um, you didn't give me enough change. And I just broke down crying, much like Diane did here. And the man said, it's okay. You can keep the change. And I was like, I'm not crying over the change. So I totally get that. He drinks some of the Jack Daniels, Sans Ice, as Sam leads Diane to the office. The man hands Diane a $5 tip. Carla realizes that Diane just got tipped for crying. So she goes to one of her tables and sheds some crocodile tears. It's interesting in that scene because the man does start to reach in his pocket, but then it cuts away to Sam and Diane in the office. So I'm curious if he was getting something else there that worked and Carla got a tip for the crocodile tears. Sam tells Diane that he can't believe she is so upset over an animal dying. Diane says he must not have ever had a pet. Sam tells her that he, sorry, Sam tells her that he had a dog, and every morning he would walk that dog, and it was a great way to meet women. Diane says that he just used the dog to pick up women and probably doesn't even know the dog's name. Sam says that he does, and he tries to think of some names, and he's unable to remember. And the names he thinks of, he says, might have been the women that the dog helped him find. But then he asks Diane, what does she want? And she says she just wants a little sympathy. And Sam asks, why didn't she just say so? And I kind of get that as well. Sam saying that because Diane tells that says that she's been saying it all day long with her body posture, the way her eyebrows were. Um, So I kind of get Sam saying, well, why didn't you say so? Because not everyone picks up on the body language thing. With being, as I told you before, I'm on the spectrum, body language is hard for me. She tries to leave the office, but Sam makes her stay and talk about the cat. Diane tells Sam that her cat Elizabeth was her closest friend and confidant. When Sam, when Diane was 12, her parents separated, and Diane had thoughts of suicide. But she saw her cat was on her lap and thought, "Who will take care of Elizabeth?" She explains the cat saved her life, and then crying, she says that she's upset because she was not there for Elizabeth when Elizabeth died. Sam is crying too, but tells Diane that he's not crying and says, "I'm allergic to cat stories." The two hug, then Diane tries to kiss. Sorry, I burst that. The two hug, and then Sam tries to kiss Diane. Diane pushes him away and claims he's exploiting the situation. Diane is upset that Sam can only relate to him sexually. Sam says that Diane always has to talk and think about everything. He is also bugged by the way she eats pretzels. 3 bites, not 1 bite or 2 bites, like everyone else. Diane says she has a problem with Stallone, and Sam says not to worry because he will not hit on her again, and Diane agrees. She also says that they can agree she is leaving. As she leaves, Sam stops her and says, "Diane, I'm sorry about your cat." She thanks him. She thanks him again and starts to cry again. And they go toward each other, and then she turns as she says, "I'll see you tomorrow." Discussion. I gave this episode 4.5 out of 5 beer nuts. This is a very touching, yet funny episode. Diane feels like no one cares, and the others cannot understand how she can be so upset about a cat. Which I have to agree with Diane. The fact that they can't understand kind of shows they probably never had a pet. Which we know Sam's had a dog, Norm has a dog. Carla said she's had other animals, not a cat or a dog, but still pets. I was quite upset when my goldfish died. I had him for 5 years. So I think even most pets can have effect. So at least know 3 people that have had pets. The MVP for this show, not surprising at all, is Shelley Long. Um, she does a very good job when she has the breakdown. Um, the whole time throughout the show when she's trying to get everyone to somehow acknowledge what she's going through and people just keep dismissing her. She does it very well. But then again, Shelley Long was just a phenomenal actress. I've said that before. My favorite line, Diane says, "What good could you possibly find of a loved one dying?" Carla replies, "It ain't me." Runner-up favorite line, Sam says to Diane, "Marshall teaches one of those subjects I know absolutely nothing about." And Diane replies, "Could you narrow that down just a bit?" Here's a little known fact. Diane's cat was named after the Victorian poet Elizabeth Barrett Browning. The title of this episode, which was called Let Me Count the Ways, is actually from her most favorite sonnets, and I'm going to read the sonnet to you now, called How Do I Love Thee? Sonnet number 43. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach, one feeling out of sight. For the ends of being and ideal grace, I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need. By sun and candlelight, I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with a passion put to use. In my old griefs and with my childhood's faith, I love thee with a love I seem to lose. With my lost saints, I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. So that was the Elizabeth Barrett Browning poem. That cat was named after the poet, and the episode was named after this poem. Question of the week: do you think Diane overreacted to her cats dying? If you like this episode, please click all the buttons, the like, subscribe, follow, etc. On whatever you're listening to. And as always, you can join the Cheers Facebook group. That's One Woman's Opinion. And you can follow us on Instagram at Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast. And you can always email us with questions, comments, etc. at Cheers One Woman's Podcast at gmail.com. Next week, we'll be looking at episode number 15, Father Knows Last. And that's One Woman's Opinion.